Hello there, I'm Ken Reed, president of North Sales, and your host for North Sales' new podcast series featuring the very smart people behind the scenes who help create the products that we sell and use. As with all great technology companies, this all starts with smart people creating smart tools. And in the case of North Sales, we have approximately 60 exceptionally talented designers, not just creating the software, but using it and improving it every day. From the robotics in Minden and Sri Lanka actually making the sales to the intricate design software that analyzes, molds, and defines today's sale structures, sale making is not an art anymore. Not even close. It's a science, created and perfected by the people and the tools used to define them. Besides having at their disposal the most comprehensive suite of software in the industry, the very best sale designers in the world combine their skills with the ability to speak fluent sales shape with the best sailors in the world. That back and forth of development versus practical usage that's been happening since the beginning of time. In this episode, we talk the tools of the trade with three of North Sales' leading designers and engineers, Michael Richelson, Marco Capitani, and Brodt Taylor. 3 generations of designers, all at the top of their game. Frankly, each designer at North Sales brings something unique to the table, and these 3 highlight exactly this case in point. As an introduction, Michael Richelson is the king of design software. Up until today, always doing a nice job of staying in the background. You can make a case that Michael has done more to change sale making than anyone in history. Even if Michael didn't invent it, whatever store-bought software that any other salemaker may use, it's been created by someone who at one stage studied Michael's work in one form or fashion. Salemaking software is his brainchild, and he is the mastermind behind the North Sales Design Suite. So let's start with Michael. You have a PhD in mathematics, creating software for North Sales since 1980. Software engineers can go anywhere, do anything. What was your training, and how did you ever end up with North Sales?
Well, by training, I'm a structural engineer. PhD in mathematics sounds more, let's say, high-flying than I really am. So I did my degrees. I got a master and a PhD in solid mechanics at the Technical University in Denmark. And this is back in the 70s, 80s. And so I specialized in the modeling of structures, and also had a brief stint at the CFD, which is like the aerodynamics around the structures. And I grew up sailing. My father brought me into it, and eventually I joined the club and so on, and the usual way. And that's how I got an interest in being on a boat. I needed to get an edge, and I figured, maybe I can use my strength in the modeling to sort of model sails. And my dad and I would go to the sort of sail expos of different kinds, exhibitions and so on. And somehow I read about North Sales. There were no North Sales of any sort in Denmark at that stage where we lived. And I heard or read about North Sales being involved in, let's say, computer simulation of the aerodynamics around sails. And I figured, this sounds really interesting and something I could use, because I was mostly in structures. So eventually I wrote a letter to San Diego, posted it, and suggested that we'd sort of collaborate. I'd supply, or I'd be happy or interested in developing the structural model, and if they had anything on the aerodynamic side, I would be a keen user of it. And I got a very kind letter from Laurel in reply saying, yep, that was exactly what they wanted. And then we sort of send email. No, this is before the emails. We send regular postal letters back over for half a year maybe, and then Laurel suggested I come to San Diego. And I hadn't been there for long before he sort of shipped me off down to New Zealand, where Tom Snackenberg had just moved down there. So I was shipped down there with a sort of a personal computer in those days, which was the size of a mini fridge, and worked with Tom for half a year. And then I came back again and figured, I better go back to school and do my master's before they throw me out. And I did that, and then following that, I was sort of torn between what to do, whether I'd really wanted to continue in school, do a PhD, and I'd also, on the other hand, like to work for North Sales. And we came up with a to say, so the middle ground, which was instead of getting a scholarship to do the PhD, which would prevent me from working externally, I had to focus solely on the PhD. Norse would sponsor my PhD, and I could, let's say, extend it over a longer period of years, and at the same time work for the company and do the PhD. And so that's how I got involved.
Amazing. A letter, phenomenal.
Yeah, I mean, you
thought?
had those aero mail letters, you'd probably seen them, where you could write on 3 pages or whatever it was.
Yeah. For the outside world, could you take us through the North Sales design suite of software? How and who comes up with these ideas? How are they upgraded? Where do the ideas come from?
Well, they come from sort of interaction between the user group and the developer group. And so it's not like someone sits there all by him or herself and conjures up a new idea. It's pretty much just by pinging back and forth ideas. That's sort of how we develop the products. You see something maybe from somewhere else, or you chat up something, could we do this? And maybe we can do it already, and it's a matter of, let's say, tailoring the software to do it, or maybe it's some new ground that we need to break. And then we go to work on it, and it's this sort of constant interaction. And that's where the fact that the user group at North Sales, there's so many designers, is really stimulating. And it sort of helps move the things forward. So somebody brings in an idea and we react, we respond to it.
Well, not only do you create software for our company now, but you've jumped back into the competitive sailing game as a member of Prada's America's Cup team. How does that help you move forward? You're part of the user group, I guess.
Well, it's the same again. It's interaction with other designers, now not sail designers, but in completely other fields, designers of boats, yachts, whatever, or just wherever the Grand Prix moves. And as I said, the same word as before, stimulating it pushes you maybe in a new direction, and it helps for us. It sort of helps us move our software in the direction of being more widely used, not just within the company, but also externally. And that again sort of brings feedback back to the company that we learn from. So I see that as a great vehicle for us and everybody to learn and advance.
So, Michael, let us look under the hood a little bit. What's the next big idea? I mean, without giving away too much in your area of expertise, where do you see the next big jump for North Sales?
Actually, I see, well, we have many visions, and one of them is maybe make the data we have more accessible, because I see how well it can be used on a cup team or on any Grand Prix level. And if we could make that happen to a broader audience by making the data more accessible, more interaction with our clients, you'd learn from those. I see that's one area where we are actually pushing to sort of make it more interactive, accessible through the web. And then on the technical side, it's also, let's say, where does the modeling go? Well, the modeling, as you've seen from these new breed of, let's say, foiling boats, has become much more dynamic. And so that's the direction we're moving in, that instead of having static load cases, we've started looking at dynamic load cases to a much larger extent. Some would say a simulator, but maybe not so much in the simulator game. It's more like just including the dynamics into our VPPs and our modeling in general.
Often during talks like this, we speak of tools that seem applicable only to Cup and maybe Grand Prix teams. Can you specifically talk to our clients who own boats, who actually benefit from all the tools that you guys create, yet it may not seem like that from the outset?
Well, yes. Probably the same as what brought me into it, sort of being on a boat and really wanting to understand what makes a boat sail. What makes a boat sail? What makes a boat sail faster? Or what makes a boat sail better? And that's what we try to do with our tools. That depending on what kind of boat it is, it may be right on the edge. It's solely going for performance. and that's what we're trying to model for, or we can model for that it's more all round, or let's say a broader, easier to sail, forgiving, whatever you want your sail to be, or your we can sort of strive and work with you in that direction. And that's what our tools are sort of geared towards.
Marco Capitani may be a little more front and center than Michael. Many may already know him from the America's Cup team Luna Rossa Prada Pirelli. He's obsessive about using data to make an idea flourish, more of a hands-on sail designer. Marco spends an inordinate amount of time on the water looking at his creations and talking to the sailors, all with the goal of using and improving the software to create a finished sail in ways that nobody's ever imagined. The amazing Prada America's Cup sails are his perfect example. Marco, designing in Europe for so many professional operations, well, it's fascinating. Can you tell us about a few of the programs you've worked on lately? TP52s, the Cup, One Designs. How are they different? How are they similar? Because a sail's a sail, right?
Yes, lately I've been involved in many different projects, like you said, America's Cup, TP. They are different, but we are using the same approach on all of them. That basically is the North Sail approach. That means is a scientific approach. So basically we are working quite a lot with numbers that are input for our software, output from our software, and then still number that is coming from the sail analysis. So basically we try to bring what we are learning some important project like on the Cup, from the America's Cup. We try to bring some knowledge on the other class like TP52. What we learn on the TP52, we try to bring in a different class. Obviously, there are different programs, but thanks to the North design suite, we are able to transfer this data to one class to the other class. And when I say we, it's not just me, Michael, on one that are working together with Luna Rossa, but it's as a designer group. Like at the end of the TP52 season, we are doing a debriefing from the TP52. So all the designers that are involved in this class are putting on the table what they did, what we learned. And so we try to transfer this knowledge to the other boat, to the other class.
So what you defined there may be called trickle down technology. I heard a interview with a cruising client who said, an amazing part of my sales is I actually feel like they were born from technology that's used at the highest level in the America's Cup. What you're saying is that's actually true.
Yes, exactly. You know, the same technology that we are using on the Cup boat or on the TP52, we bring it down to the cruising boat. So, for example, our technology, you know, our 3DI, we are using 3DI on Luna Rossa, but we are using 3DI on a cruising boat. So exactly what you said. We bring our knowledge from the America's Cup boat to a cruising boat.
So, Marco, tell us about using the North Sails design tools. Everybody hears this phrase, the suite of software. How have they evolved over the years while you've been with North Sails and working alongside Michael and others who create it? But what are these tools? Can you just tell us which pieces of software you use specifically?
Yeah, basically, I cannot imagine how to design a sales without these tools, basically. And these are many software that all linked together, where we can, because basically we are designing not just the sail, we are designing the structure of the sail, and we provide data to the boat designer. For example, we are providing all the load cases for the structural engineer. We are providing all the aeromatrix for the simulator guys or for the guys that are working on the VPP. So all these software linked together, and thanks to this link, we are able to starting from initial data that we receive from the boat designer and complete the loop and come back to the boat designer with our information and with the sails that we gonna sail on the yacht. Basically, with our software, we are able to predict what will be the flying shape that we're gonna see on the water. So we are able to predict the flying shape before that the boat is even built. So this is as I said before, I cannot imagine how we can design a sail without these tools.
And you talk about working with the designers and kind of finishing up that circular design loop. Can you tell us how companies like Southern Spars and Hall Spars and Future Fibers, our sister companies at North Technology Group, how they kind of interact in the whole process?
Yes, obviously, like most of the time, Southern Spar give us all the mast properties. So we start our loop putting on our software the mast properties that Southern Spar gives to us. We start to simulate the flying shape and the load case and the load that we will see on our rigging. And thanks to this, we can go back to the Southern Spar with all the information related to the mast band, real load that we will see on in each part of the rigging, and obviously with a real flying shape that we will see on the water. So yes, it's a constant loop that we will do with the mast builder and with the boat designer as amazing tools that we are, thanks to Michael, that they keep updating. So yeah, we are able to keep continuous this loop between the designers.
So, Marco, you work closely with another superstar North Sails designer, Argentinian Juan Garay, with the Prada program. When there are multiple sail designers on a team like that, how do you split up the responsibilities and manage the resources that are available?
Yeah, first of all, one is not only a colleague, but is even a good friend of mine. So we are working very good together. And sometimes we are joking. We say that I'm the upwind trimmer and one is the downwind trimmer, because most of the time I'm running all the upwind cases and one is running the downwind cases. But this is a joke. In reality, we know that both of us has a different background. So we know that I'm better than him to do something, and one is better than me to do other stuff. So we try to merge our experience and really work as a team. So we try to benefit from the good things that each of us can bring to the team. Obviously, we have put on the table all our feedback, our idea. We discussed all together, even with Michael, that is well integrated in this group, in this loop and group. And yeah, this is the way how we work. We are Latina, we drink a lot of coffee, so we talk a lot in front of the coffee and we share idea and concept just drinking a coffee.
On to young Brodt Taylor, who may lack years on Earth, but with his expertise in mechanical engineering, he's quickly becoming one of our team's most valuable young assets. Brodt works on the tools that create the patented composite structures we call 3DI. He's a tool user. But as I said earlier, a hammer is only as good as the human that swings it. A young, energetic, smart sailor, Brodt is proof that in many ways young engineers are very much a major part of the foundation of North Sails. In Lowell North's vision of the North Sails Tigers, well, people like Brodt are the new Tigers. These young minds know how to listen and then help evolve a design space that is evolutionary to the core. So, Brodt, as a young engineer, what attracted you to North Sails? Not as a lifestyle, because we know you're a good sailor in your own right, but from an intellectual standpoint, how does a smart guy like you end up in a place like North Sails?
Sure. Well, the lifestyle was certainly a factor. As I went through the application and interview process, it slowly became less and less of an actual factor. What got me through the door initially was that lifestyle piece and then the sort of broader presence of North within the industry. I knew I wanted to be within the marine industry, and North within the sailing industry is just an omnipresent presence. It's huge, and everybody knows and loves it. And so that's what got me through the door. And then once I got started talking to the team, I ended up spending a couple of days with our head of design, JB, and just going through the North Design Suite in its entirety, which, albeit was exhausting, but pretty eye-opening and extremely cool. I had no idea that there was any amount of that large amount of science and engineering going into each of these sails. It sort of blew me away. And by the end of day 2, I told JB I was in. Whatever he wanted me to do within North, I wanted to be a part of it, because that's how impressed I was with just the scale and level of knowledge that was going on here and going into each of these sails.
So, Brodt, you specifically work on the composite structures of the 3DI product, the patented 3DI product. Can you tell us what it means to the layman who simply wants a sail that makes their boat perform or cruise or last a long time? Can you just tell us about the software and the use of it and how it helps you do your particular job?
Sure. So it starts with the production process, right? For the layman, we take a series of material yarns. We've got our Kevlar, carbon, and Dyneema, which we unwind and then spread into filament tapes, right? Those tapes are then laid almost as if 3D printed onto a flat surface and then shifted to a mold that takes the shape of the sail that you're purchasing. And a heat lamp is then run over that mold so that your sail material is heated and molded into a very precise shape that suits your boat and the sail that you're buying. And then it heads off to finishing. Now, to the guys that aren't ripping around in AC-75s down in Auckland, that means that they're getting a sail with the same amount of shaping precision as those AC-75s. And it means that they're getting a huge increase in shape holding ability over the life of the sail, over other sail making technologies. Now, that still might be more than what everyone needs. That's a high level of technology going into each sail. But 3DI and North Design Suite allows us to produce a large range of products that cater to anyone within the larger market. Cruisers, for example, have a very different set of priorities than the AC-70, the America's Cup folks. For example, they might emphasize durability and ease of use over extreme rigidity and shape holding ability. So with the tools at our disposal, and particularly my disposal, we're able to come up with different layouts, model them, and then based on the results of those models and layouts, we can then produce the sail that best suits that market segment's needs.
So in essence, you're a composite structure analyst, and it's not just for one program. What you do is for all 3DI, for all forms and fashion, for all segments, like you said.
Yes, I work on a day-to-day basis, everything from an AC-75 sail all the way up to worked on a couple fin sails, moth sails, and believe it or not, I've done a 3DI Opti sail.
So 3DI sails are created from miles of individual tapes, and they're created, like you said, in a process called spread filament. Can you tell us why anyone would want to build a sail this way? Why not just throw a bunch of tapes over a mold and call it a sail? Why so intricate? Why so challenging? Why is this software even needed?
That's a good question. Our library of layouts that I work with every day has grown and transformed over the past 10 years, and it's borrowed on technology from long before that. So to go in and just create a layout and throw some tapes over a mold you'd have to be pretty lucky and take a pretty good guess to get it right. I've been here for 4 years, and we continue to make every month or so we're making updates to our layout library, and I don't think someone could pull that together that quickly. I think it'd be pretty challenging.
So can you explain finally the different materials that are on your menu or the menu of any designer within North Sails, how that menu is used in order to create the right sail for the right person for the right application?
Yeah. The foundation of our products comes down to 4 different material types that get spread out into those filament tapes you mentioned: carbon, aramid, Dyneema, and polyester. The carbon is sort of our performance-oriented, high modulus, low shrink tape that gets used particularly in the performance end of the spectrum. It's an extreme material and lends itself really well to the America's Cup or the TP52 Super Series. but it comes at a little bit of a price of a slightly lower durability. Aramid or Kevlar is a little lower modulus and a little lower shrink, and sort of our not middle range material. They're all top range. And then Dyneema is our mid modulus, super durable material that we use primarily or a little bit more heavily on cruisers, but it's involved in just about every sail that we build because it's so durable, it's so capable. But it does come at the price of a little bit of shrinkage. And then poly is our lower modulus, smaller one design boat tape that we use. Now, all of those have advantages and disadvantages on their own. But what we've done is use the tools at our disposal in the North Design Suite and produce tapes that balance one or two of these tapes at a time. So, like I said, Dyneema is in most of the sails we build. And that's because it's in most of the tapes we build. So all of our carbon tapes that we produce all get a little bit of Dyneema in them to help balance out the lower durability of carbon. And then the carbon balances out the Dyneema's slightly lower modulus and slightly higher shrinkage rate. And we do that across our range. And then that's sort of at the lower level. We're at the lowest level. We're able to mix and produce tapes that have the material properties that we'd like, that then lend themselves to what we're looking to get out of a certain layout. And then within that layout, we can use any combination of these materials and the tapes that we've produced out of them. So really, that's a long-winded way of saying that we can produce sails that target basically whatever the customer needs.
Okay, final question for each of you. What's the next big thing in sailing and sailmaking, in your opinion? Michael?
In my particular area, it's going, let's say, modeling more of the dynamic aspects, maybe not so much of the foiling boats, but broadening it out into, let's say, conventional displacement boats, which are harder, much harder, actually, to model than a foiler, believe it or not. And so I see that as a challenge for us to really understand the, let's say, by dynamic behavior, I mean, going through waves, tacking, jibing. I'm sure we can make gains in that area also, and also just educate ourselves and everybody, our clients included, in how to best sail a boat. And that's where I think the next big step is coming from.
Marco, in your particular area, where do you see this all going?
I think as a North Sail, we invest a lot on the 3DI technology, but I think this is only at the beginning of what we can do with that. I still believe that 3DI can give us a lot in terms of performance. So I'm sure that by layout, sail layout, tape layout, and 3DI technology, we will still have a lot of to have it. And I'm sure with we are now at the beginning of next America's Cup, and as usual, the America's Cup will bring us some new and interesting idea and stuff that all the other class will enjoy. And so I think will be another performance gain for everyone, for all the class.
And Brodt, in your particular area, Marco just gave you a great segue there into layouts and 3DI construction and materials possibly. Where do you see this all going in the near future?
He did. Well, I agree with Marco. I think we're really just scratching the surface of 3DI technology here and what we can do with it. And with what Michael Richelson continues to develop and build on in the North Design Suite, gives us the tools to push even further, even faster. And one such project that I think we're really pushing right now, and it's really come to the forefront, is Helix. We've within my realm, we've really been able to push and develop it, and it's a game changer. It allows us to really increase the range of these head sills, and it's just completely changed how we look at head sills and our off-wind larger code sails. I think that's pretty exciting.
I must say that the future of North Sails as a leader in technical development is in great hands with generations of smart people like Michael Richelson, Marco Capitani, and Brodt Taylor, all part of a team that creates bespoke products for people of all individual needs when it comes to their sailing time. North Sails makes up to 30,000 sails a year, 2/3 of them completely custom. Having the smarts and the tools, this team has a background that allows designers to thrive in their surroundings, all with the goal of making the perfect sale for your individual use. Join us next time for another deep dive into the designers and their tools here at North Sales, all seeking the creation of the perfect sale. I'm Ken Reed, president of North Sales. Sail fast and talk soon.